Hey, it's me, Keenan. The future is now, obviously. And what do I mean by that? So, exactly what I mean is I have had a bit of an experience here in my town of Buffalo, New York, in my home, as well as at work. Originally, I filed a complaint at work uh, back in January 18th. And basically, all I wanted to do was work unmolested. I just wanted to be able to do my job. But that seemed too much to ask, apparently. And the manager who was spreading the rumors, I invited him to my kid's birthday party, and he spread some rumors there, I'm assuming. So, anyway, now the problem is that system is broken, the system to file a complaint at work, and they eventually fired me for 4 to 6 weeks, the manager and owner of that company. But they also both pressed charges on me for harassment. Funnily enough, they owed me over $6,000, and funnily enough, the police did allow them to press charges. They also allowed them to press order of protection. Now, there was a law introduced in 1934 called the Wagner Act. It allows people to, get together and complain and try to improve work conditions. And that is what has alarmed me is many of my coworkers at that company Asset Recovery Bureau have actually been attacking, bullying, belittling me, which I thought was weird because I'm trying to explain to them that, you know, they're not allowed to do this. So it's not allowed. So they can't do it to me. They can't do it to you. They can't do it to anybody. So anyway, they also denied my unemployment, which I applied for unemployment simply because I knew that they could not approve it because that would be admitting that they fired me for no fault of my own, which they did. So, but their thing was that I was doing drugs, even though I wasn't. So no matter how many people think it looks like I was or thinks I'm crazy or whatever, it doesn't matter. And even if I was doing drugs, that's not a valid reason to fire somebody. And they didn't give that as a reason. They never gave me a reason. They just said you need to go off for 4 to 6 weeks. Then when I filed the EEOC complaint, they said they fired me because somebody else called an account. And the funny thing is, the manager at 9:09 a.m. told me not to call that account until after 4:30. I had already called it at 9:07 that day. Later that day, he put that same account into my queue, which is the list that he gives us to call. I call it again, maybe, according to him. But then another collector skip traced it, calling their relatives and everything, which you're not allowed to do. But why would I be fired for him doing that? They're just grasping at any reason to try to fire me. There was no reason to fire me, is the whole problem. They have no HR and they are unwilling to even admit for one moment that there could be something that they did wrong. And that's alarming to me. And if that's the way the system is, it is broken. So now I've been able to go to court because they pressed those charges on me. The first thing I saw was a handicapped woman who could not barely walk, who had a helmet on, who seemingly didn't understand anything that was going on. She was being charged with harassment as an employee at her group home decided to press charges on her. Okay, I understand. The concerning part was that individual wanted an order of protection as well. And the only thing I can think of is that she wants that girl to lose her home. So that's again a person in a position of power using the judicial system for justice against a person with seemingly no power. And what I'm saying is that is wrong, that is morally wrong, that is unjust. And every level of this justice system that I've dealt with has been that way. I've been beat up several times. I've had gun pointed at my head while saying, what are you reaching for? What are you reaching for? When there was only a Quran and a bottle of water there. And I understand the Quran can be scary, so I'll let that one slide. I was forcibly jabbed with a needle while, saying I do not consent to this. I do not want the medication. I do not want or need any help. Thank you for, and I kept saying that, and they, forcibly jabbed the needle in me anyway. I got arrested allegedly for making a phone call, but it seems more like I got 10,000 views on TikTok is the reason that I was arrested. but I got beat up that time. I was charged with interference. These officers they pulled up behind me, no sirens, no nothing, trying to yank me out of the car, like not arrest me. They were trying to like yank me. I turned Facebook Live on and I recorded the interaction. It was that shift change, funnily enough, but none of those officers was willing to say their name. They beat me up twice, but not one was willing to put their name. Well, one gave me the interference charge. So we will beat the interference, obviously, if there is any justice in this system. As the whole interaction is recorded, it was a 2-minute interaction where the officers refused to give me their name or badge number or the reason they were pulling me over, just said they had a warrant. And I have done nothing illegal, so I was curious as to what the warrant was for. And supposedly it was for making a phone call. And then I got pulled into another police station for a misdemeanor warrant. I've never heard of having to be cuffed to go to misdemeanor warrants. And the funny thing is the big complaint we have around here is they do not even arrest criminals. They can steal cars, everything, and nothing happens. But I get arrested for going to work and feeding my family. And that's the issue. And we can act like I'm crazy or doing drugs or whatever. I haven't worked in like 6 weeks, so I don't know where you guys think I have all this money. I was making 10 grand a month. I mean, that's nothing. 10 grand a month is nothing. The point is that about 20 corporations own our entire world. And they are all in agreement that killing people in the Middle East is perfectly fine and acceptable. I'm saying it's not. I'm saying that people do not have to die. I'm saying that if those people believe in God, then why are we telling them, you got to believe in our God or we will KIL you? That doesn't make sense to me. And it proves to me that here in the United States, our system is corrupt and broken. And, many people can act like I'm crazy and everything else. What's crazy is a system that is so broken, they can't even look at the bigger picture. So I try to tell, well, look, there's a complaint at work, and it's like, that is not allowed in our system. And I get that the separation of powers has helped in many ways, but this is not one of them. This is my home, my community. Myself has handled everything for the past 8 years, did not need any help or want any help. They have come in and not allowed my son to speak to me in a month. Every day that boy woke up for 5 years, he wants me when he wakes up. And I carry him to the bathroom and baby him a little bit. But whoever thinks that they are able to dictate whether my son gets to have his parent is wrong. You are morally unjust. And unfortunately for you, criminal justice system, you guys jumped right on board and and nobody thinks that was an arrest for a phone call. I mean, you guys, the way you guys came, it's hilarious that any of you wrote a ticket. I can't wait to see the name on that interference ticket, but that's going to be dismissed, as anybody can watch the 2-minute video and know that you guys broke the law, not me. But you guys don't have to follow any laws, right? That's the way it seems. It seems like many people do not feel they have to follow any laws or rules. And I'm here to tell you, even if you think you're doing something for a very good reason, you don't know because you don't have all the information. And the problem is we don't have all the information, I do not believe, and we have been abused because we're not allowed to read this and look at that. We have to only listen to what the liberals or the Democrats or the Republicans or the conservatives say. If you're in agreement with them, you're good. If you're not, you're a cuckoo conspiracy theorist. And some people probably are. I'm not one of them. I believe change needs to happen. Our country was founded for a moral and just people. We are no longer a moral and just people. That is obvious. I mean, everybody can admit that, for a couple million, you might do, I would, I'm not saying I'm better for a couple million. Yeah, maybe I would do the thing I say I would never do. I don't know. But what I do know is that's corrupt. The fact that I can even say that shows me that I am corrupt. And if I'm corrupt, I would say we're all corrupt. And even if you're not corrupt, what makes you think that you are correct? Because the police have come in and everybody has seemingly sided with them. but I do not think they are correct. I think the only correct position would be to do the least harm to the child. And that is where the failure has occurred. Sorry it's so long.